Good morning, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com with your Hurricane and Hurricane HD video blog for Tuesday, June 26, 2012. Obviously, the big story continues to be a very pesky and unwelcome tropical storm, Debby. The good news is you can see that the convection around the center of it still very, very limited, but the damage has been done across portions of the I-10 corridor area of northern Florida in terms of very, very heavy rainfall. Creeks, streams, rivers are going to be rising over the next several days with the potential of some serious flooding across this region. Please, please, please take that seriously. Heed the warnings, heed road closures, don't drive across flooded roadways. Some of the rivers through here are going to experience some major flooding. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you will Google search Southeast River Forecast Center, check that site out, and they give you wonderful information on the river gauges, flooding that's expected, and you can also use weather.gov, put in your zip code, and then you will find on the landing page a wealth of local information regarding what's going to be happening with flooding across this region. You can still see some of the banding coming into the tropical storm. It's trying to stay alive and feed itself and keep the process going. Some of those bands reaching all the way down into the Caribbean Sea. A good deal of the precip, though, has been sheared off into the Atlantic, and we also have a frontal boundary that's moving in. So there's going to be a lot more dry air punching in from the west and north side of the system because a cold front associated with a trough, the trough that was able to grab this and send it off in this direction rather than towards Texas, that trough will help to dry things out. It's still going to take a couple of more days, unfortunately. So you see the forecast track from the Hurricane Center is right across Florida, exiting near Flagler Beach, and then a track off to the northeast. It's not going to, at least it looks now, hopefully, it's not going to get trapped out here, let's say down here somewhere, and then get pushed back. I don't see that that particular scenario taking place. You cannot completely rule that out, and obviously people need to be watching this very closely, in my opinion, until it's sitting way up here somewhere and still moving northeast. Then we know we have finally rid ourselves of Debby. Now, looking at the GFS model, this is the overnight run, and we're looking at the 500 millibar level of the atmosphere up at about 18,000 feet or so. And this is a good steering layer of the atmosphere. And this is valid 24 hours from now, basically. And you can see the energy associated with Debby kind of stretched out. It's not well organized as it goes across Florida. And here is that trough in the atmosphere. And you can see that the flow of the wind at that level of the atmosphere is southwest to northeast. So Debby will go with that flow. It's not really like a cork in a stream. It's all sort of a liquid interacting with another liquid. That's the way the atmosphere is. It's very much like a fluid. But this has got the momentum to pull Debby on out. And if we look at 48 hours down the road, you can see that the GFS indicating that Debby gets a little bit better organized off of Florida. It's still caught in this southwesterly flow, however, moving on out with the trough. At 72 hours and finally 96 hours, it's heading out, and hopefully for good, as there's no high pressure to the north to build in and trap it, and no high pressure coming in from the east of any consequence to send it back. In fact, you see large high pressure building over the eastern United States, and that'll help to push it. It has nowhere to go but north and east, and hopefully that will remain the case. Precip over the next 3 days still going to be high across portions of Florida. This is important to note, that these bands of rain are going to be intermittent and scattered, and when they do form, though, they're going to be heavy. You can see the rain shield up to the north. That's that front that came down. This will help to get Debby moving off to the north and east, but until it does, it still poses a big flood risk for portions of Florida and southern Georgia, so be aware of that. I am Mark Sudduth, my website HurricaneTrack.com. Always glad to contribute these videos to Hurricane and Hurricane HD. I will have another one for you tomorrow.